Rebecca, you were the first winner of the Don LaFontaine Spirit Award.
Yeah.
And because you came in with something a little extra special. You came in having transitioned out of being a child actress, right? As a
Yes.
kid. And you were in that in-between stage that a lot of child actors get into. And, you know, what was it about the lab that drew you? Was it the opportunity or was it a new phase? How did you perceive it when you first came in?
That's a great question, and thank you for having all of us.
Yeah.
I knew I wanted to do voiceover, but I didn't really know what or how to get started. I knew I wasn't really into doing on camera anymore. That just wasn't my jam, wasn't my calling. And it was free and I was broke. And it was just this opportunity that I saw to learn with other people that were on the same level, that we're starting out and figuring out this, and you think, because voiceover at that point wasn't really, I mean, this was a while ago, it wasn't really the way it is now. It wasn't as prevalent. There wasn't a lot of the online auditioning and everything like that. And it just, I don't know, it just called to me. And it seemed like really a safe environment to just take some risks and play around and come to the engineers and learn everything. I wasn't afraid to be like, I don't know what's an interface. What are you talking about? I don't know anything.
So one of the things we really set out to do, you just said the keyword safe, was to make this a safe place where you weren't in competition with anybody else in the room and that. And it's good that you felt that from the beginning, because that was a very important part of, we also designed the lab to be an educational classroom. And it was purposely set up so people could see into the booths or TV or look into that solo booth. This is the old place I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Now we have 2 solo booths. We have a large lab. I assume a lot of you have been to the lab or have come to it already, right? Okay.
It's awesome.
So when you say there was a safe place, you know, how often in our business do we get to find a place? We feel like we're in competition with people all the time.
Yeah.
Maybe less so in the voiceover world, but definitely it's still there, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And we a lot of us like to say, like, it's not a competition. I mean, it isn't. There's so many different voices. No one has my voice. No one has Paul's voice. No one has Andia's. No one has yours. And we all come to it with different backgrounds and different life experiences. And I think one of the things that I love working one-on-one with coaches, but what I love about a group class like we have here is you learn so much from your peers and from watching them and from them taking risks and sometimes failing and being there when they get out of the booth and clapping and supporting them and talking about it afterwards. There are people that I've met at the lab that are my friends for life now. Like, we all used to, we would all take turns checking the website every day, and we had a little text chain. So as soon as a new class would go up, we're like, hey, this class, go, 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 go. And it was just like a group of us just trying to get as much as we could.
For those of you that worry about getting into classes at times, because the classes are purposely small so that people will get personal attention. If you can't get in, you just have to keep trying, get on the list. And we can't give you the kind of personal attention you might otherwise, you know, if you were paying hundreds of dollars for it, but we want to be able to do that. We also want to create a sense of community. And if you get to know somebody in a class over a few days or a couple of days, you're more likely to develop that sense of community than being in a room of 120, 150, 200 people or whatever.
And even in the virtual classes now, one of the gifts the pandemic brought us is these great virtual classes out of New York and here. And I'm still on those. I take those whenever I can. And you see the same people on there. And then you start chatting after the classes and you still develop a community, I think, from those when you see the same people doing it all the time, trying to soak it up.
Paul, so you spent years in the military and then suddenly you transitioned into this world. What attracted you?
Basically, my sister got me into it. So I was kind of in my reserve years after getting out of the Navy. And my sister's a singer. She's a jazz singer. And she got a job doing some puppeteering, some voices for puppets. And she was like, yeah, you need to check this out. You know, I just made $1,200 for like 5 minutes of work. It's like, you're the
big motivator for a lot of people.
Yeah. So I'm like, wow, what is this? You know, and she was like, you know, you need to get into this because, you know, growing up, I was kind of like the performer of the family, you know, putting on shows and stuff. And then it kind of transitioned into, you know, military stuff. And she's like, you need to check this out. And so she kept bugging me about it. And eventually I was just like, let me check this out. So I started reading books first. And so Rodney Salisbury's
Yeah, Rodney's book, yeah.
I think Step Up to the Mic or Better Your Voice, one of those books. And just hearing Rodney talk about this life where, you're freelance, but you're able to get in and get out and, this wonderful life to where you're able to perform. He comes from a background of theater, I believe, and he does on screen and
Right.
Daytime and stuff like that. But out of everything that he does, it's my understanding that this is his favorite. It's his favorite genre. But the way he described it, that kind of pulled me into it. And so from that, I started taking classes with the Voiceover Connection, the first one. So there's one right now, but there was one before with Dolores Deal, who's since passed. Over by, I think I heard you mention this studio once because Don used to go there a lot. It's over on by Orange Street, I think, in the Hollywood.
You mean Wood Holly? One of those over by La Brea?
Over by Highland, actually. It's by Highland.
Highland?
Actually.
It may have been Wood Holly. It's not there anymore, but
The limousine story?
or Kaleidoscope or one of those. Yeah, they were all in that Seward Street in that area. But anyhow,
Yep. So she used to teach out of that facility, and it just picked up from there. As far as going to the military, well, transitioning from the military into the voiceover world. So
right.
Yeah.
When he came into our class, it was pretty obvious right from the get-go he was pretty disciplined, and he was just eating it up. And he was our second or third I'm trying to remember, second or third Don LaFontaine Spirit Award, which, by the way, we don't give out every year. We only give it out when we really feel somebody hits all the marks. And Paul came in, and his diligence, maybe it's the discipline of military training or whatever, but he was a sponge. He couldn't get it fast enough, and he had the it factor. He had a great voice. I wanted to kill him, actually.
We all do.
I really seriously considered putting a contract out on him, man. Just eliminate the problem before it got to be a problem, But he stood out because he had that extra something as a person on top of just his work. So I think that counts for a lot in our business. It's not just a matter of what we do. It's a matter of who we are, how we interact with our clients and all that. And you could tell from all three of these people when they first came in that they had something a little extra special, So Paul, I'll get back to you in a second, but I want to talk to Andia, who went to Yale, but you never say in your biography what you actually what you majored in Yale.
I started in physics, and I was in the lab all the time, and I was like, this is not for me. So I switched to social science, sociology, which was, my parents were like, what? But it's fine.
Right. Some people are triple threats. This woman is like a multi-hundred threat. She was a professional golfer with the LPGA. She has been star athlete. She trained with the Olympic team for the bobsleds. She teaches wellness. She has wellness and all kinds of things.
I have ADHD.
Perfect. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think she does, but she manages to pull it all off. That's the amazing thing. And she's another one that when she came into my class, I noticed right away. She was more than willing to take a leap of faith. And we talked about that, Sometimes we push you, certainly in my class, to go to places you don't think are comfortable. But as Don says at the end of that video, find all your voices, find them. There's more inside of you than you know. If you don't take a chance, you may not ever find them if you try to play it safe all the time. She had that. She was like a lioness right out of the gate, took a lot of chances. As a result, she was a Spirit Award winner and the very first member of our advisory board since we started it. She's the first edition we've made in 15 years. So, Andia, welcome to the board. Thank you
so much.
Tell us a little more about your involvement into voiceovers and how it all came to be.
Well, first of all, I'm really excited to be here with you all tonight. This is very meaningful. I was telling my emotions before we came out here, stay down. Stay in your place. You're not welcome here. Just joking. But I came from the world of professional sports. A lot of professional athletes transitioned from competing to kind of sports performance coaching. And I did the same thing to pay rent. When I was living in New York City, I was training athletes for the New York City Marathon. I was mic'd, and a talent agent heard my voice. And she approached me and she said, hey, you've got a great voice. You should do voiceover. I said, what's voiceover? Oh, okay, whatever. And so I didn't take it seriously. I was recreating. And then my best friend got me vocal lessons. And the coach is like, hey, yo, you might want to do this. And I was like, Then I booked my first audition for a voice for PBS. I saw that check. I was like, hello. Is it me you're looking for? So I used that money to leave New York City to come back west. I came straight to SAG. I paid my last month's deposit in an apartment just down the street. Someone said that if you do nothing else after you pay your dues, join the SAG-AFTRA Foundation. There's a plethora of programming. Then I came to the lab to see Eric, and then I was like, Urkel, I never left. I was like, hey, Eric. Every single day, because I lived right down the street. Every day I was here. What's going on? Anything? No, nothing? What you got to eat? What's going on? So I did that. And then in 2019, actually, this is apropos because you talked about your class. Paul had a class called Finding Your Signature Voice. And it was a 5-day class. And December 9th, 2019, I found it. I was like, oh, that's it. And then the pandemic happened. But because I had found my voice prior to the pandemic, I was ready for the onslaught of activity from home studios. And the lab also taught me how to get my home studio set up. So I was actually uniquely primed to take advantage of that moment in time. And it's as a result of this place that I have the career I have now, for sure.
Yep.
What is this? What is the lab? We're touting the lab here, but we're also touting your accomplishments because you've done remarkably well, and it speaks well of us, but it speaks well of you too. Personally, on your own personal journey, let's start with you, Rebecca. What has it done for you in terms of your own personal approach to your work? To have gone through, and experimented and looked at your voice and explored all your potentials and all that.
Oh, wow, that's a great question. I have no idea. What was that again? With the lab, going back to what I was saying before, it gave me this place to take risks that in some of the classes that were offered as voice actors, it's in front of, to use an uncertain term, gatekeepers, the casting directors, the voice directors. And there's something about being at the lab where it was okay to just fall on my face and suck. And I'm gonna skip to you because my brain won't
that was pretty
let
darn
me
good.
process this right now.
I thought that was pretty darn good.
Okay, great. Then
Paul?
Steen.
As far as the lab,
Yeah, personally, you came in here with I'll learn this and I'll do it. I'll make money or whatever. This is a gig I could learn to do. But personally, how did you feel a transformation? What did you discover within yourself that you've taken forward?
I believe the lab exposed me to the professionalism of the industry more so. Because you're exposed to these instructors. Some of them are working voice actors, accomplished voice actors. You get to see how they are around the mic. Actually a really important thing to me as far as the industry, as far as the lab is concerned. I got my current agent through the lab because she was teaching class. My thing is that early on when I started off, I was kind of like a grinder. And so I'm the guy that would send, I guess back then it was disc. I'm the guy that's sending disc to different agencies with like pieces of candy and stuff and trying to get my, my demo seen. And most of the time it gets kicked back. When you're starting out in the industry, it's getting kicked back. They say, hey, get more training. And come back. I felt like I was ready. But of course, you continue to train, you continue to read. What the lab provided me is that when I left Bobby Ball, this is the agency that I was with before, I had some issues with them and I had to leave before I can find a different agent. Amy Grant came in to teach a class. She's no longer an agent with DPN. And I brought my demo with me. And I said, Amy, can you listen to this? And this is, of course, after the class. The class allowed her to hear me read copy and participate with other students and what have you. And she called me in and got on with DPN. So for me, that's huge. And that's because of the lab that I am where I am right now as far as DPN and other opportunities, as far as management, as far as the different jobs that I've gotten, exposure to different opportunities. So for me, that's the biggest thing.
What's that old saying? When you move, Providence moves with you.
I like
You
that.
know? Yeah. Andia?
Honesty and a critical look at areas for growth opportunities. Like, hey, you have some blind spots here. Here's where you need to advance. And also having these industry professionals come and show you how it's really done. You're like, oh, I have a big gap. There's a big gap between me and where I want to be. So seeing that firsthand is key. I will also say that this is a safe environment, not just to iterate and experiment, but no one here is trying to shill their buy my course for $5.99 because there's a lot of that. So when I first started doing voiceover, there was a person who shall not be named who said, you don't have what it takes.
Ooh.
But for $1,799, we can take some classes and, my partner can do the branding for you. And I'm thinking, all right, well, this doesn't seem right because I don't see you working. But you selling stuff, right? So I knew that in this place, the 3 classes that were most impactful to me, I took a class with Bill Ratner, with Sylvia Viagran, and with you. And those 3 classes, you all don't fancy yourself teachers. You teach only at the lab. You're not teachers on the side. But those are the classes that were most impactful to me because I knew there was nothing behind it other than let's help you be great, y'all. And I felt it, and it was instantaneous. It wasn't like over time you'll improve. In that moment in the class, I could feel it happening with honesty and constructive criticism. The constructive part is important.
It was part of the design. You were going to say no? Go ahead.
No, and I think something else is it also introduced me, and I know others, to genres that we weren't familiar with and not ready to pay a large amount for a course to learn about these things. But being able, I remember the first time I got to come in and do promo to picture. And you don't get to do that anywhere else unless you're on the job, and then you're freaking out. You're like, what? I don't know what's happening. And it was the first place that I was able to do that. And then it opened up the doors of building the confidence of knowing like, oh, I got to nail that in the lab. Now I finally got my baby wheels off and let's do this.
That's really good to hear because that's the kind of environment that we want to create. One of the things we did from the very beginning was if a teacher came in, they were donating their time to this particular place, handing out their pamphlets or selling. They could teach outside of here. They certainly were free to mention it. But as far as coming in and for lack of a better word, hawking your wares, this wasn't the place for that. Here we wanted that to be a little different. And I think we've managed to keep that pretty good. We've stayed above the fray in that. There are a lot of people out there, good teachers that are charging as well. But this space, in order for it to remain safe, in order for you to feel like you're not being solicited, is that the right word?
That's a good word.
This space had that creation. The other big thing that came up here is that when I started out in voiceovers over 30-some years ago, I didn't have to know the technology. I went to a studio, LA Studios, Margarito X, wherever I went to work, and I would do my job and I'd leave. Somewhere along the line that changed about 15 or 20 years ago. And things like ISDN came in, lines where they could work with you. And then suddenly the client got used to saying, oh, great, can we work from your house? We're not going to pay you for the use of your equipment, but it would be really good if you know how to use it. So a lot of us transitioned to the only software program at the time was Pro Tools, which is a program that's used by music professionals, which was far more bells and whistles than we needed, but it was the only thing we had that we could do. There's now several, but the point is the job description has changed. You now have to be not just a talent, but you have to be an engineer. And this place was designed to allow you to learn that. That's why we have the solo booth, we have that. And now they've developed a great program here. If you haven't tried it, if you come into the solo booth, it's a page by page by page thing. You could sit here in your own time and learn how to do it yourself and not have to pay a dime to learn how to do it. And that the idea is that we're creating the next generation of voiceover actors. We want them to be prepared, not just voices, because the future isn't going to be just about your ability to speak well in front of a microphone. In fact, just having a good voice is not enough anymore. It's what you do with it. So being the whole package, being a good personality, being able to handle the technology, all of that's critically important. When we built the original lab, it was really becoming important then. We raised, the voiceover community raised about $250,000, and the foundation matched that with $250,000. This current one, thanks to Sid Wilson and the foundation, was completely rebuilt, updated to a tune of $1 million. And all of the technology, most of it's hidden. When you walk in there, it's all clean. But there's cameras now that can shoot Zoom classes all over the world. There are the new mics. There are the solo booths, all that. And the technology itself has minimized. It's become smaller. So it's all there. It's all there. It's all there for you to use. And like you said, when we started out, we didn't have a lot of money. And we couldn't afford that technology. Well, now it's there. And so now you don't have an excuse. And if you don't take advantage of it, too bad on you, because you're screwed. Okay, you with that? So let me ask you, along those lines, has the introduction to the technology here paid off for you? Do you think it's been worthwhile?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, George Whittam, thank you. I knew nothing. I came into this being like, I'm a voice. Exactly what you're saying. Like, no, you need to learn everything. And being able to, I didn't have any place at home to record, and I was trying to get an agent, and I drove like, I think it was 45 minutes at the time, almost every day to get here, or to get to the old place to work in the booths there. And someone was always there to help me if I had a problem trying to learn it. I would watch the engineers do their thing. They would take time to talk to me if they were available. And honestly, I still use it as well. I still go to the classes, like I said before, but also, I don't remember her name offhand. In New York, you can make an appointment and she'll kind of do a studio check with you. And I recently got a new mic and was like, oh, great. Let's have an appointment. And she helped me out, and there were things wrong, and now I'm fixing them. So yes.
Well, you bring up a good point. The place here was so successful that the Entertainment Industry Foundation kicked in about $300,000, and there's now a voiceover lab in New York at the SAG headquarters there. So if you ever want to go there, you have the same privileges that you do here.
I used it last week.
Oh, there you go. So Paul, on the technology front, what about in your case?
As far as technology, I actually started out with Audacity. GarageBand, and then Audacity. And then the lab introduced me to Twisted Wave.
Yes.
So Mike, it's like his baby as far as...
Mike, are you here? Did I hear your laugh? Oh, I heard it too. You heard it. I was like, Mike Valera, where are you?
But yeah, so Mike introduced all of us to it, and he had a lot of classes as far as learning Twisted Wave and the different features, because it's so easy to use and it's so quick. As I've progressed as a voice actor, it's more of a speed game. I mean, it's quality too, but getting your auditions out there, as soon as possible, as soon as you get them. But that also includes editing and reducing noise and the truck coming down the street. I remember Rebecca telling me, I don't know if I get this story wrong or not, but she told me she paid a construction worker to stop jackhammering on the street or something. And it's the truth.
I brought them cookies and said, please stop from 12 to 2.
Yeah, because if I mean, I swear to God, I'll get back to the technology.
It's all right. We only got it a certain amount of time, but not because I would.
If you're doing a huge campaign and they're saying, okay, we're gonna start recording at 8 a.m. and the guys outside are setting up to start with the construction, or for me, my bane is the leaf blower. Oh. So
welcome to the club.
I actually put together a schedule of when they would show up.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And I would tell the clients, like, hey, can we maybe schedule this at around,
7 a.m. to 9 on Thursdays.
6 a.m. or something like that.
I got gardeners on Wednesday.
Yeah. So technology is huge because I'm still looking for something that can gate perfectly gate the sound of a leaf blower or a lawnmower or something.
But you know what though? Even in professional studios, some of the high end, you still hear noise. You can't. Noise is not.
They can figure it out though.
Yeah,
I've sent them some stuff, and they're like, "Hey, we can work with that." But I'm just saying, as far as my technology and
I say, hold please.
Again,
It's for the helicopter.
I don't really feel sorry for you youngsters because when we were young and recorded in analog, not digital, they couldn't manipulate the sound the way they can now. Maybe a couple filters here and there. But now they could throw you through the de-esser. They can knock out the clicks. They can do anything they want to do. And Twisted Wave is simple compared to Pro Tools. So I'm not really bleeding for you, but I'm glad you got it. Okay?
You guys actually had to cut the tapes and stuff like that?
Just saying.
Shots fired.
Right? Those of us that paved the way before you.
Okay. Okay, let me
Uphill in the snow.
Yeah, exactly. Townsend, I'm sure you can relate to that.
Oh my God.
Andia, so go ahead on the technology.
Same thing. Just having confidence instead of relying on someone else, knowing, oh, I can do this. This is intuitive. I can do it. And if I can't do it, I'll just call and ask for help. Also, another Rebecca story. So I was moving to the east side of town, and I was living in a construction zone, and I was like, what am I do? And then Rebecca's like, you can record at my house. And I came, and then I need you again. You can record at my house. So this community, so I'd have to drive all the way to the lab here. I could just go to Rebecca's house.
I think it was the first time we met, actually.
Yeah, I was like, hey, you don't know me. I'm not a stranger danger. Can I come into your home?
Yes, you can.
But it's kind of amazing when you think that maybe just 15 or 12, probably 20 years ago now, you wouldn't have to worry about that at all. The technology, you could have just gone to a studio. Now, unfortunately, it's been the bane of a lot of studios out there, a lot of the smaller studios. Some of the larger ones are able to hang on, but it's actually been that, and the clients aren't expecting to pay anymore for it. They're saving money on that. But I make it my point to be as good as possible. I'm not as good as George Whittam, who you probably all know. He's probably the best at building you a home studio. But I'm good enough, if I get into a problem or something, I can troubleshoot it. And I've been at it long enough that I got workarounds. I've got backups to my backups to my backups. So if I have to do a file transfer, I've got Hightail, I've got WeTransfer, because if something goes wrong, you got to be able to take care of them. And my whole goal, and I'm sure yours too, is to know the technology well enough to make my part of their day the easiest part of their day. Because that can ruin, your technical expertise can ruin you just as quick as a bad performance, unfortunately.
Or forgetting to hit record.
I'm
not the only one, am I? Okay.
Well, that happens to everybody.
I have a checklist still. It's like, turn on computer, plug in, make sure computer is charged, press record. I'm like, oh yeah, there it is.
I really like that idea.
In terms of, let's go back to the preparation aspect of it, because you're offered a lot of different classes here. And like you said, you got to try out things you couldn't have otherwise tried out. Does that exploration process, which is also part of the design of this, that when that's provided to you, do you feel that expands your range in any way? Even if you don't end up, say, doing animation or promos, do you felt like the fact that you were able to experience it expanded you as an artist in some way?
The answer for all of us is yes.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
You too, Paul?
Yeah, definitely. There were things that I didn't know about, I wasn't exposed to. I think the promo and animation, for the most part. Promo and animation, I got a little bit of exposure to that, and some genres that I'm not really interested in, like audiobook. I still took the class just to see.
You know, tomorrow you're gonna have an offer in your email inbox, right?
Let me ask the three of you. When did you first start to feel a difference out there in the marketplace? Maybe as a result of what you had. Was it a confidence factor? What was it that you started to feel about when you started to audition?
My journey, I really took my time in the beginning, and the lab was a really big part of that because I was just starting out right when the lab opened. And I remember learning, who told me? Someone told me about it, and I saw Joe Cipriano somewhere, and it was like I stalked him. I was just like, Joe, hi, I'm Rebecca. When is this opening? When can I start taking classes here? It was probably a little annoying. But I took my time in the beginning. I took it was a couple years of me just taking classes here and really taking my time. And something, I wish I could pinpoint exactly what it was, but I remember something. I remember having a moment, and I wrote it down in my Artist's Way journal in a class where it just all clicked. Suddenly I was like, oh, yeah, I won't curse. I can do this. There was just a moment, and a moment of being with your peers as well, saying okay, so are you going to try to get an agent now? Stop futzing around.
Yeah.
Believe in yourself, And it really, there was that moment of the confidence in yourself as a human being and as an artist and as a voice actor. And knowing yeah.
It's funny how people
I got it.
in this game think it's easy to do this. Starting out, or it's a quick way to make money, like you said. And frankly, that's how I started out. I hit a quiet spot as an on-camera actor, and I thought, okay, I could do this. Well, and once I got into it more, I fortunately had probably the greatest mentor on earth, but I learned that it takes a lot more than just having a voice or anything like that, and that it takes time. And all three of you have invested your time in this place. Mm-hmm. And that is the difference between just taking a couple of classes, going out and knocking out a demo. The difference is it's in the nuances. It's in the subtleties.
Yeah.
Anybody can sound like somebody else. But when you learn your own voice well enough to create those nuances because it's coming from here, that takes time. It doesn't happen overnight.
Absolutely.
And you did that. All three of you have done that. For you too, when you went out into the marketplace, did you start to get that sense after a while? Was that something you started to feel that you'd spent enough time, it was making a difference, or was just a quiet confidence? What was it?
I'd say the small regional spots that I had booked before kind of prepared me for the larger ones. But when I started booking like a Coke or like HBO or something like that, and they started calling back, then I started feeling like, okay, maybe I'm in the league of professionals at this point, but I need to keep grinding at my craft.
Right.
But I felt like, wow, this is kind of surreal. There was a couple of times maybe even doing, when they bring you into the studio, there's a couple of times they brought me into maybe Margarita or something like that. And it's just you can hear the producer on the line or they're there. That was even more nerve-wracking when they used to be there, watching you perform. But I felt like I was on another level. I felt like, okay, this is the real deal. I want to stay up here. How do I continue to get this quality of work? Because this industry is about relationships. It's a relationship business.
Right.
And I'm finding out more and more. This lab is a relationship business, or it's a relationship that you're building with teachers, with people in the industry. So as far as, when I started working those jobs consistently and getting more jobs like that consistently.
You were there because you had earned it. That's why you were there. I know that it's not your way to brag, but I'm telling you, you were there and said, I want to stay here because you had earned the right to be there. That's where you were, And you wouldn't have had that, I don't think, had you not put in the hard work. Nobody does. Anybody can learn to play a piano or whatever, but until you understand your own voice and what you can do with it, it doesn't register as authentic. Anybody can teach you. If you take my class, for instance, I harp away at that. I can't tell you how to be you. But I could certainly tell you if I hear you or if it's authentic, and the people in the room can too. And that's what we spend a lot of time getting to know each other and over 5 days breaking that down. So, Andia, for you, the transition?
So booking my first audition was a fluke, I think, and it was actually good that I knew nothing because that's why I booked it, because I was completely myself. I had no idea what I was doing. And then I started taking training, and then I regressed because I was trying to sound like something. I'm trying to sound like a live announcer. I'm trying to sound like a promo. I'm trying to sound, but like I said, it was in your classes, December 9th, 2019. And by the way, we have brought you something today.
What's this?
Pass this
Little
down there.
detour.
What is this?
So on this day, Paul told me we were supposed to pick out some copy, and I picked out Dr. Seuss. And he said, you're going to read it in a voice that's completely unlike your own voice. Just go crazy. Go beyond where you think it should go. So he made me read Dr. Seuss as a tent revival preacher. Like fire and brimstone. I was like, I don't see how this was going to work. Someone in the class, I'm not sure who it was, actually recorded. I didn't know they were being recorded. So I actually have the video of the moment that I could see in the video when I figured it out. Wow. And so when they sent it to me, I was like, oh, snap. And the next week, I booked 4 gigs. I booked Coca-Cola. I booked Macy's. I booked Nike. I booked Gatorade. And I was like, oh, yeah. Like, I found my signature voice, but it was like, you made me go so far. I was like, this is insane. And I hope no one ever sees this. And then, of course, I saw the video. I was like, oh, gosh. But the point was that I was trying so hard to be someone else instead of just being myself. And actually, I didn't need to try. Just be yourself, like be rooted and anchored in the pocket. And once I figured that out, then my career just took off like crazy.
It's probably one of the hardest things to learn in our business is to, yes, there's a skill, there's a commercial read, there's an animation read, but the hardest thing to do is just leave yourself alone and just come from your own place.
Yes.
You know, Robert De Niro, I show a clip in that class, Robert De Niro, it's like a 1-minute clip. Robert De Niro said, one of the hardest things to do, and make no mistake, we are voice actors, okay? He said, the hardest thing to do is nothing. It's to just be. Leave yourself alone and let it just happen. And so if you don't, and you hear somebody reading a commercial read, you're going to try to imitate that because you think that's what it sounds like. Whereas if you take the time, I kind of compare it to the foundation of a house. The house can be built all around, but you don't have the foundation of yourself down there below. There's nothing for you to come from in terms of your own voice. That's a hard thing to learn, but once you get it, and like Andy described, once you get it, oh yeah, it clicks and it's there.
And one thing I would want to add on to that is that I think people are so focused on the craft of acting. Let me be an actor, and I've got to be in all these classes, but also go live a life.
Right.
Go pick up your kids from school. Drop your eggs at the grocery store. You know, clean up dog poop. I mean, like all these things. Have a fight with a stranger on the street. Because all those things. I mean, no fisticuffs. Just verbal.
Yeah.
Because it's practice. Like go sit in the subway and listen to the people having conversations. Because that's all life and it all informs what we do. It's like giving you more to pull from. I was a caretaker for my grandfather who was terminally ill. I remember I was in my young 20s and I was like, this sucks because I'm missing out. I'm missing out on life and I'm getting behind. But that actually informs what I do when I'm reading like quiet introspective reads, when I'm doing reads where I'm supposed to be talking to someone and being, careful and sensitive. Those I pull from that experience. So all the bad things that happen to you, all the good things that happen to you, the mediocre things, the wonderful things, you pull from all of that and that informs your signature voice, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, I couldn't say it any better. Oh, the places you'll go, Dr. Seuss, she gave me. Thank you. Thank you very much. That's great. And it makes me really happy when I see these. We've had a lot of those kind of breakthroughs, on all the people talk about it that have taught here, So that's the payback for us. That's the reward for us, because how many people, you've been with your agents or whatever, they already, well, you fit in this category or you're that person or you're that. And you listen to them, especially if you're young, because you don't think you know any better and they're the expert, right? Well, you might be good at that, but they don't know you. And the more you find your niche, the more they can lock onto it. You're helping them. Then you can expand from there. It's easier to expand once you're in a good zone of what you are. You also don't get thrown as much when you're doing the job. This is what I do. This is what I do. Okay? And yes, I could take direction. I can go in that direction. I can go in that direction. But you feel more grounded. And that's part of what the training here is supposed to do. If you try enough things, you feel a little more grounded going into situations. You don't feel adrift in your auditions. Would you say?
Yeah, and also, and you touched upon this as well, like preparing you for the job. Like it didn't just give me the confidence to go and try to get the job. I had the confidence once I had the job. I remember taking a looping class from Terry Douglas and learned so much about the basics of looping and the terms, and we did donuts and all these things. I tried to do a kid and she was like, no, don't ever do that. I'm like, okay. Again, you can fail there. And then the first time I had my first looping job, I just was able to pull out my notes. I was like, oh my God, I learned so much from Terry.
Right.
And then I got to
She's
work
terrific,
with Terry
yeah.
one day.
She has a lot of the Disney movies and all.
Yeah, she's great, y'all.
Yeah.
So it was a full circle moment from taking a class with her and then being able to utilize everything she taught me working with her.
Mm-hmm.
So that again goes back to the confidence of not just knowing you can do it, but being ready
Right.
when you get the call. Like,
Right.
go do
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Being ready and being able to fail without repercussions. You're not in a competitive environment here. That's the thing. That was
You should
so
seek out failure here. Like
Yeah.
that should be your goal, is to fail often as possible, because that's where the growth happens.
Yeah, yeah.
Encourage
You
friends to
spoke of
fail.
what you did in that class, and you thought this is crazy. But if you hadn't taken the leap, which you were more than willing to do, you may not have found the thing you were looking for. You might have played it safe always. And let's face it, the voices that really stand out, a lot of us are the same. I don't consider my voice particularly unique, but I've learned to do what I do well. And other people are just very unique. And what they're listening for is that extra little something, that extra little piece of authenticity. And when it's authentic, and in the class, when you sit there and you hear somebody doing something that's authentic, even if it's a Southern Baptist preacher, suddenly you're connected to whatever it is you're saying, and it jumps out. And that's what you're looking for, is the connection. Doesn't matter whether it's animation or promo or anything. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. And you can hear it.
Yeah.
You can hear it with someone else. Like all of a sudden you'll get chills or goosebumps or something like that. I think we've all experienced that at one point or another, seeing somebody else like nail it. You're like, oh my gosh, that was mwah.
What are some of your remembrances of the class experiences? It doesn't, of the different ones you did. I know you did all kinds. You did. Did you take one with George as well on the technical side?
I'm sure.
Yeah, sure.
I don't remember specifically, but I'm sure I did.
Cover all kinds of ground with the classes at the lab. But are there any particular experiences that stand out to you? As we talked about moments, I know the classes that were favorites, but I mean, where you really saw it, not just in yourself, but in somebody else.
Oh, I have to think about that. I'm sure I did.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, that moment I just talked about with Terry Douglas, like, scarred me a little bit, but also was that moment I just so remember being told, like, don't ever do that.
Right.
Like, okay. But that was a learning moment, a pivotal point. There's so many people I saw grow from here onto so many things. And I can't think of it at the moment, but I know there were a lot of moments. We had some moments together too, I remember.
Yeah, definitely. I would say specifically for me, promo and the commercial classes, I almost felt like silently to myself it was a competition with a lot of the other classmates because they sounded so good. It's like I have to catch up to that. I have to get better because that guy sounds incredible. This guy sounds like he should be on the radio now or he should be on television now. So a side effect of the class is being taught by the teacher, but you get to see the level of all the students in the class and we all push each other. So it's a friendly competition. I don't want to steer it in a negative way, but that's something that stands out to me. It's just like, and then the fact that we would help each other out, like they were talking about sharing booths and stuff, and the frequency at which we'd see each other in classes, we grow closer. I'd see her at other classes, but that's what stands out to me the most.
The environment,
Right.
that's what I was kind of looking for because in a typical class, you go to an outside commercial class or whatever, everybody's looking at everybody else in the room. Basically, it's competition.
Right.
Yeah, they might be to your face. They might be supportive, and perhaps they really are. But the whole purpose of this is I get a lot of pleasure out of seeing somebody that can barely speak when they come in. Mm-hmm. And by the time they leave, they found a little bit of their voice. You know, they came in shy thinking they couldn't do this at all. And then by the time they've left, they've got a little glimmer of where they can go with this. And it's wonderful to watch their eyes light up.
There was somebody when I took your course, the 5-day course, and I can't remember his name, but I remember him sitting in the third row on the left, all the way over there every time. And he had an experience like that. I remember him just so shy and quiet. And by the end, I do remember a moment where everyone was like, yes, you did it. You broke your wall. It's a camaraderie.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We had a camaraderie.
Yeah.
Especially with your 5-day class.
You know, this
Take his
doesn't have to be
5-day
all
class,
about
y'all.
me, but keep coming. You know?
Well, because we were there 5 days in a row, we got to really know each other. It was kind of like a shock workshop, intensive, yeah. So to where everything intensified, we're pushing each other. You're pushing us, pushing ourselves. So yeah, you can't get that. You won't get that in a workshop outside of. Well, you may be able to find something, but for 5 days for free, you're not going to get that outside of the lab. So it's
if the class had been 30 or 40 people, do you think you would have gotten the same feeling?
because everybody's waiting to get into the booth at a certain point. It's like,
Right.
okay, I want to go now. I want to go. And if there's 30 people,
Not going to make it.
you're not going to make it. So
Can we talk about the physicality of the actual space? I think that's important for people to know too. When you take classes elsewhere, oftentimes you're in a room and you're sitting in a circle, or you might go up to the mic, but in this space, you actually have to push the hard door open, pull the seal. But there's something it's like Pavlovian about that, because my first job in LA was down at Lime Studio, which is my favorite. They make the best burritos and like kale. They also, by the way, back in the day before studios closed, they were like, "What would you like?"
Here's today's menu.
Here's today's menu. So I used to come like super early. I'm like, well, actually, since I'm here early, I might as well take your kale salad and your quinoa bowl with the anyway. But the point is, when I walked into my first in-person job, I knew how to pull the door closed. I knew how to set up my mic. I knew what it felt like. So that it was an ensemble read, and so the other woman who booked it with me, she had been working from home. She had never really been in a studio, so she was all confused. Like, what do I? And I could see her flustered. And we had to wait for her to get settled. But because I had been here, pulling the door closed, setting up, putting my water, I knew what the space felt like, the physicality of it. So I was just right in it. And they actually replaced her mid-session. But they didn't replace me because I was like, oh, I'm a professional. I've been working with Ann. Ann's like, don't do that. or don't touch the mic. Don't touch a man's
Don't touch
mic.
the mic.
Like, don't do that. Don't do this. Here's what you do. And I got to watch professionals do it real time. So it was like shadowing, like take your kid to work day. I'm like, oh, that's how they do it. And then one time I think James Arnold Taylor, James Arnold Taylor? He came to teach a class. We were waiting. He's like, oh man, I got to record a gig real quick. Eric, is that okay? And Eric said, yeah. And so he recorded his real live gig with the client, and we got to sit and watch him. I would have paid money for that, but it was FREE free. This is how someone who's the top of the game does it. Oh, so now I'm informed. I'm armed with this knowledge, and I'm confident enough to do it. Pull the door tight. Put the headphones on, the strings on the left-hand side. Don't look like you're a newbie. So all those things that will make you kind of trip you up and take you out the moment. I was like, I got this.
Yeah.
Look how I closed that door. Basically.
It was a big door. That didn't make it down here, but that was a big door. Well, go ahead.
No, and I think something that you said about people at the top of their game, those are the people that are teaching us here, who aren't, like you said, trying to get you to take more classes. And there's something about that inherently, the giving back of it, that they want you to succeed so strongly, not to take their second class. And I think something like an experience like that with James Arnold Taylor, it's been amazing.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of, it's not to disparage, there's a lot of great teachers out there as well. But you just got to find the right ones. You got to find the right ones, you know. But here, the idea is more about the environment. It's that this is the place you can, experiment. It's not going to cost you anything. to fail here.
Yeah.
It's not going to.
Your pride.
Yeah, somebody. Yeah, but if somebody's working as a waiter and they're making a lot of money and they spend $500 for a class that has 30 or 40 people and they only get up once or twice, they might feel robbed. Whereas here, they know they're not. If they do it the right way and they don't take it for granted, they realize they're getting something out of the class regardless. They're not paying for it, but they're getting something that's really coming from a good place, from people that just want you to do well. And that's it. And like I said, a lot of us didn't have this when we were starting out. And that was one of the impetuses behind this. And Don was one of those people that he would take people for a ride in his limousine and they could watch him work all day. And he didn't care. He'd take your kid. You'd have to go with the kid, but let me clarify that one. He'd take the kid, but for him, he considered himself the luckiest guy on earth. I think that was said in the video, and that was 100% true. He couldn't believe that he had been as fortunate as he had, but he was so genuinely who he was and his relationship with people was so good. That's another thing now. You guys tell me how I feel. When we worked in the old days, we'd go to the studio. We'd develop relationships with people. We'd come back. We'd know the mixers. We'd know the people from the ad agencies, and there'd be feedback, and you get to know a little about their families or whatever. That's harder to do now because you're in a home studio and you're trying to develop little morsels. You're trying to pick up little things that you can develop relationships with people. I do a lot of sessions for Washington, D.C. I've developed relationships over 12 years, but you have to really be paying attention. You got to find common ground because that's where your relationships get built, So it's not just about the work. That's part of the job too, You mentioned the mic. Was the mic thing? Somebody touched the mic, was it?
Oh, yeah, don't touch the mic.
Yeah. That's another thing here. You can come in here and they'll have 10 or 12 different donated microphones that you can try out to see which one you like best, what works best with your voice, what doesn't. Etiquette, microphone etiquette, how to work with the mic, up close, back it off. Don't make the mistake I made when I came in and didn't use a mic when I started this evening. You pick up a mic and you use it. So, but all of this comes into play, and it's a harder playing field now because there's certainly a lot more competition with all the people that have home studios and everybody's out there in the online casting sites and all of that. You must feel that yourselves, right? That you're up against a lot more people. Not all of them are good. In fact, a lot of them aren't. But you could stand out because of the training you have, maybe a little more, because you have a little more. People pick up on confidence too. They pick up on that sense of that you have a sense of who you are. You don't get thrown easy. That kind of a thing.
I think that's part of what you were saying about the pandemic is that we were ready. We had our home studios when a lot of people started scrambling. And that, for me, I will say that's because of this place teaching me how to do that and George helping me build that. But that's something that definitely we got out of that. We were ready.
This is all really good to hear because I don't get the opportunity often to collect information and feedback that we can then use to help.
This is our exit interview.
To improve. Exactly, the next interview. That I can use, we can use to help improve this place. This kind of information tells us what's working and what's not working. And in fact, if you do have anything that you feel we could improve on, let us know. We'd love to know about it.
I will say we still take classes. I still take classes that are online whenever I can because I'm still learning. We're all still learning things. Yep. Also, I think the big thing is trends change. And I think a lot of folks who've been in the business a long time had great success. And they're like, I'm not working. It's because these young people doing this and that. Well, it's because you haven't changed. Because you don't know how to use your email or, Source Connect. So I think being on the ground here in person or remotely, it helps you stay in touch with what the trends are. Technically, thematically, sound-wise, it's no longer the transatlantic sound when you're doing TV commercials. It's not this anymore. Then it was millennial apathy, but now it's coming back to more presentational again. And we know that because we're listening, because also the classes teach towards what's happening real time now. And that's the key. Yeah,
I was like a few Saturdays ago, I think. Who was it? I'm asking Eric. It was a great class on documentary narration.
This place is a treasure trove of stuff that you can mine for endless hours and not have to pay for it. Think about that. And I think that's why it's all the more important to respect it and find a way to give it back yourself someday. Don't take it for granted just because you're a SAG member. Understand that it is a gift to the people that are giving their time here and that they want you to do well. And that's their sole purpose through their classes. It's what I love about this place. It's what I love about the lab. And I hope it's what you will, if you aren't already, that you will come to do or continue to do. And these people are living proof of how successful it can be. So really, thank you very much. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.